hello world. Welcome
Hello.
to the Underground Society. I kind of want to start out with asking you about the beginning stages of your project because I thought it was very interesting that you didn't give away your identity at the beginning,
Yeah, I was a
and
little
kind of
sneaky with that.
the kind of unraveling of now you do obviously, but
Yeah.
I kind of just wanted to ask like why did you not show who you were and you could just kind of like let the music talk for itself at the beginning?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, first off, I want to say thank you for having me on, Justin.
Yeah,
You're
dude.
amazing. I'm honored, and this is the first podcast I've been on, so this is really cool. I've never done this before.
Awesome.
So I decided to keep it anonymous at first because I don't know, it was just like something kind of felt special about like kind of making it a little bit mysterious and not really just giving it all away, like I felt like I was trying really hard to create a cool sound, a really cohesive thing, and then just
Mm.
like I didn't want to like in or like put myself into it too much. I wanted to just create this thing that was separate from me, that I could just kind of curate perfectly before introducing myself to it and try to see how it would take off with just the music and the like, the experience itself. So I thought it'd be a good idea with my manager and I just to like we just decided to not give it away right away and just to stay anonymous. So it was kind of it was a fun process. I'm not gonna lie though. I mean, I definitely did not want to be anonymous forever. Like it wasn't something I wanted to do forever, but it was kind of fun to
What?
like be behind the scenes and like
Right.
yeah, it
What
was
why
great.
did you what made the decision happen of okay, now I'm going to start revealing who I am as a person
Yeah.
and
So
incorporate that into the brand.
yeah, it's a great question. So I think that decision kind of came from just honestly we weren't I wasn't even really planning to have the anonymous thing happen for that long, but I ended
Mhm.
up I don't know it just kind of it stayed like that, and we were trying to find the best time to kind of let it out, right, and just to like reveal who I was so I could kind of let it all out and be my goofy self online and like you know all that stuff. And
Yeah.
it kind of just we were just looking for the best opportunity, so we ended up doing that, or finding it felt the best to do it with the release of the acoustic like stripped version of my song Only Way Out, where we did a video for that to kind
Which
of
was
be
a
the big
super well done video too. I saw kind of as I was digging through your stuff, I kind of saw the video of all the filming and the behind the scenes work for that. That's
oh
awesome.
yeah, thanks Justin.
Super
Yeah,
awesome job. Yeah.
yeah, that was really fun. That was like my first video experience, so that was like a really really
Mhm.
cool time, and it was a big shout out to like Insomniac for helping with that. That was really cool. The camera guy
Was
Will,
that
he was
was that
awesome.
connected? Was the camera guy connected with Insomniac? Then is that how you got that all worked out?
So Insomniac just kind of went and found somebody that they knew who would do it, and
Got
they
it.
found this guy Will Start. He did an awesome job. Like honestly, I wasn't really expecting much. Like I just wanted to do a video that kind of captured me playing the song, and it wasn't really meant to be this big thing. Honestly, like the initial idea I had for it was for me to perform the song just like on a grand piano in like some like big room or something. It's like something really
Hmm.
intimate. But it ended up kind of like shifting into this cool thing where we got this really cool space that had all these cool changing colors and bring out like it just felt a little bit more like in line with the stuff I've been doing. It's like an acoustic
Right.
song, but the video kind of allowed for us to connect it back to like the digital vibe that I had going. So yeah, that felt like the best moment to like let out the brand and to put myself into it and kind of introduce myself, and it felt like the right moment.
Do you think that it had any effect on like people gravitating towards your brand and liking and connecting with your brand more, or what was the people's reaction?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I feel like it really helped because I wasn't like I feel like people have sometimes trouble connecting with just a bunch of like professionally made assets, like on social media.
Hmm.
And I've noticed that like people just want to talk and comment and engage and listen to my stuff more when I'm just being myself.
Yep.
So I feel like it really opened up to a lot of people just kind of wanting to, listen just because they maybe can relate to me, or like, you know, that's the best way I can describe it. I feel like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
opened up a lot because, like I said, it's kind of hard to connect with just like a bunch of like a professional looking Instagram. People are, I feel like, much more interested in just like making jokes to me and
connect with
talking
them a little bit better.
connecting with me. Yeah.
That's what I would
That's a good
assume it
question.
would happen. I based off your name, did the reveal of or the secrecy of who you were and then the reveal have anything to do with the Hello World like name? Because I feel like it was like I'm coming out of like I'm revealing who I am. Hello World, this is who I really am.
Oh, that's a really cool way to think about it. Actually, it had nothing to do with.
That's
It had nothing
that's
to
what
do
I
with
thought
that.
once I figured that out.
Really? Yeah. So that actually makes
Yeah.
complete sense, and it sounds like you're smarter than me in that sense because I never thought of that. But that's actually a really good idea. I mean, I guess it worked like that in my favor, right?
Uh-huh.
Hello World is actually a programming reference. So I grew up like
Uh,
learning how to code, and that's actually my other thing too is like software engineering and programming and coding and stuff and making apps. And so when you learn how to code for the first time, like in school or something, generally the first thing you learn how to do is print the words "Hello World" onto your screen. Like it's like the easiest program to write. It's like basically just printing it to your screen. It's like the first thing you learn how to do. So it was a reference kind of to my past in programming and trying to connect it all, be myself.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think one of the main thing that you also revealed, or the main thing that you've kind of incorporated into your brand since the reveal of who you are, is the fact that you really love gaming.
Yeah.
How, and I know that like a lot of like your art and stuff also has like Game Boys in it and stuff like that. Like, where did that idea come from?
It came from like honestly my childhood, man. Like
Okay.
I don't know about you, but I grew up with like, I mean that was like my favorite pastime as a kid. Like I grew up playing
Yeah.
a weird amount of hours on Game Boy. Like I think I probably have like equal play time in the virtual world and like the real life. Like I played so much Game Boy
That's
back in the day. My first Game Boy was a little Game Boy Pocket that I got, and I played Pokemon Yellow on it. And that was really fun. It moved from that to like RuneScape. I had like a horrible amount of playtime on RuneScape. And it just kind of went on. Like I just feel like it's just a good part of my past. So I'm trying to find ways to connect it all,
How old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay, cool. We're about the same age. I'll be 25 in a couple months. So yeah, definitely.
happy early
I was
birthday.
gonna say I was a yeah, thanks. I was gonna say I was a big gamer on like DS. Like when I remember when like DS came out, and I got the Mario Kart DS like special edition for Christmas one year, and that was like, oh yeah, that was my thing for sure. I
Yeah,
was much
that
more
was
of
a
a
classic.
Nintendo guy than like a PlayStation or like Xbox person for sure. Like I think I prefer. I'm not a huge gamer now, but I think I still prefer like the platform of Nintendo.
Yeah, what were your favorite games?
Honestly, I was a big Mario Kart guy. What else did I play? Oh,
Mario Kart's fun.
what's that? That one that was for DS. It was like a dog game. Like you would take care of dogs. and you'd have,
Nintendogs.
like, yeah, yep. Love that game. Those are probably like my two favorite. Nintendogs is I love dogs so.
Oh yeah, that's such a good game. I remember I had a little golden retriever named Rex on there. Very
Nice.
basic name, but it was fun.
So other than gaming, what other interests or hobbies, like getting to know you a little bit more? What else are you interested in other than playing video games?
Dude, I'm into a lot of different stuff. I feel like I'm a pretty simple guy. I like to like work out and get outside. I love hiking. I live in LA, so there's a lot of good hikes around there that I've been trying to do.
Oh yeah.
Although I do often find myself just like too busy or not even too busy, but like I always just like finding excuses not to go outside because I'm just on my computer all the time. But when I do want to go outside, there's a lot of good stuff to do. Where do you live?
I live in close to like San Francisco, like 30 minutes from San Francisco.
Oh, cool. Beautiful
So
spot.
like Bay Area.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I am going to be moving to LA. I'm getting my finances figured out, but I'm actually going to be a student at Icon in a few months. So I'll be moving
hell
down there
yeah.
and going to Icon.
Right on, man. Well, you'll let me know how that goes. I went to
definitely.
Icon.
Did you?
Yeah. I went to Icon. I finished.
Oh, shit. I did not.
I finished in 2020.
Oh, okay, cool. So I'll dive into that a little bit. How was your experience at Icon? I didn't even know you went.
Yeah. That's funny, right? I went there in 2019. It was really great. I think for me, the biggest thing I got out of it was like, obviously it's just a really great community of people that are all like-minded and people who want to do the same thing. So it's just like naturally a great environment to thrive in for music production, right? Like you have all these instructors who are trying to help you. You have this awesome building that kind of nourishes a bunch of music production. It's just like a really, really good spot to like to just get better at production. But it is one of those things that like you're only going to get out of it what you put into it, right? So it is one of those things where you need to show up and put the work in when you're there. It's more of like this amazing environment rather than like a magic potion, right? It doesn't like just make you really dope and really good at music and music production and stuff, but it is like just this such a good environment. There's so many awesome resources there that if you take advantage of all of it, it's really hard to fail, you know? It's just such a good spot. So that's really cool that you're going.
Yeah, I'm actually. Were you there when the music business portion was already like an active?
No, I was there. One, it was at the old building, so not at the new building.
Okay, yep.
And then that was right before they launched the music business program. So it was only when there was the online program and then the music production program.
Yeah, so for me, I didn't even know, like, it wasn't really an option because I don't produce music. I'm interested in, like, management and, like, getting into the business side of things. And Icon announced the music business portion, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I know where I'm going to school now.
Yeah, that's great. That's really cool you're going. It should be really good.
Yeah.
You have to let me know how the music business program is.
Definitely. But let's go back to your career now. You've had some amazing things happen. You've played EDC twice. Your first year, you hit 600,000 streams on Spotify, and all of your releases so far have been on noteworthy labels, and then some. I could go on and on about your career and what you've accomplished in such a short amount of time.
Oh man,
what do you think? What do you think?
Hyping me up over here,
would
man.
Attribute that to? Yeah, right. You've really done a lot, though. I mean, to be honest.
I appreciate it, Justin. Seriously, it's kind of weird, like hearing it back. You know, it's kind of but you know, I feel like it's just, I don't know, like for every like success that you see from anybody who's doing it, you know, it's like one success for like 10, 15 failures, you know. So it's just like I've gotten a lot of no's in my life with this whole thing, and I think it's just really about like, because I've tried my hardest to not try to take those personally and just to keep going, you know, because I always tell that, like, I do a lot of like mentor sessions with other like producers who are trying to get into it more, and a lot of them, the advice I usually give them is that it's for every like success that you get, there's going to be like 10 failures and no's and things that are just going to like be really discouraging. So I feel like so far this project has been going really well, but it's been a lot of trial and error and a lot of things that I feel like I've had to like learn from mistakes, failures, things that didn't work out. So I just feel like it's kind of the culmination of just not giving up and just like keep doing it, pumping it out and making music and all that stuff. Good question though.
We did talk about Icon, but before Icon, how long have you did you have another project before Hello World?
Yeah, nothing really notable before Hello World. Like I would just like, it was just all like trial and error stuff, you know, just as myself Drew. And you know, it was more of just like a trial run, nothing really like serious, I would say. But I started making music back in like I would say started producing in Ableton 9th grade, and that was right when like the Skrillex wave was hitting, you know, like dubstep was cool, Beats by Dre were a thing, you know, all the cool kids had Beats by Dre, and they're like bumping Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites, like to the point where the headphones were clipping, and I was like, that is cool.
That is cool.
That is cool. So it was a lot of like, that was like when I first started producing, but I grew up playing piano. I grew up just doing a lot of musical stuff, you know, like I played piano since I was really young. I had messed around with just writing music ever since I was a kid. Like I just never really took it super seriously until like after college. But before then I had dabbled with like DJing and producing, and it really just, it wasn't really a thing, like a solid thing until after college.
Okay. And then yeah, and then you decided to go kind of almost for like a secondary education at Icon.
Right.
And then how did the Hello World like project first? Like, did you kind of were you already working on the concept of the project like at Icon, or like how did you come up with the Hello World like concept?
Oh, that's a good question. So like I said, I was I was big into coding and programming
Right.
before I started the project, and I went to school, actually, like college, for software engineering and computer science. So I ended up doing that for 4 years, and it was great. But after I was done with school, I had a big internship at at a big company, and was coding full time. And I don't know, it just didn't really feel like what I wanted to do. I was like thinking, okay, 5 years, what I want to look back and think, am I really good at coding or make really good at music? And
Yeah.
I picked music. I really liked coding, and it was like the hardest decision ever. Like, it was like, because I really do enjoy coding. Like, I think it's really fun, and it's like another way to creatively solve problems. Like, it's creative problem solving. But I just decided in that moment, I was like, it was such a hard decision, but I ended up ultimately deciding that I wanted to pursue music, because I don't have a mortgage and a bunch of kids to pay for right now. Like, I can try it. So I ended up just doing the Icon thing, moving on to LA. And by the way, the Icon thing also really helped with another key element, which was like, the big move, like moving from where I'm from, Minnesota, to LA. Like, that in itself was more of like a symbolic thing,
across the country.
Yeah, it was like a symbolic thing. It was like, you're moving to do the thing. You're doing the thing.
Yep. They literally make movies on that.
Yeah, it's literally like moving out to pursue your passion. And not only that, but Icon gave me this really good community right when I went out there, because I will tell you, like, moving there has been so hard if you don't have a community of people to go into. And it just gave me that right off the bat. Like, I'm so spoiled with that. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, the reason I started the Hello World project when I was I conceptualized it when I was still going through Icon. I didn't really have like a solid project, and I ended up just thinking, okay, I want to do something that I actually feel like I would pay to see. Like, I want to make a project where I'm like, that's cool. That's something I would be interested in listening to. You know what they say, like, make the music you wish existed.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. It's a cool quote.
Were you so have you always been a fan of like electronic music and stuff like that? Is that kind of why you decided to pursue that lane, or?
Yeah, I always liked electronic music. I mean, ever since, I would say, like, the first, like, quote unquote electronic music that I really liked was I mean, I don't know if you'd call this fully electronic, but like Owl City.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was obsessed with Owl City. Like, so, like, it was weird. Like, I had him in my Facebook bio for a long time. Like, I love Owl City.
Nice.
It was weird. But I still, to this day, I'm like, I love Owl City. So I listened to his stuff like on repeat all the time. And he's also from Minnesota, fun fact.
Oh wow.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So I was like really into him, and then I got into dubstep and like electronic music when kind of the mainstream wave of like Skrillex and like Flux Pavilion and all them like kind of hit the scene in like 2011, 2020 or 2012. And then ever since then, I've just been like on and off about it since. But it's been like definitely like the most fun for me to produce, because I don't really like producing things that aren't electronic.
Were you ever interested in making like house music or trance or like any other like subgenre of EDM, or has it always been like more of like a bass music style infusion that you make now?
I like really all genres of electronic music. I feel like I'm the least attracted to house and like the four on the floor type music, but I've definitely tried making them. I just haven't had any songs come out that have been a part of that. But like, I'm open to it. I like the halftime stuff,
The reason why I asked is because like Icon kind of pushes you in the creative direction of like what you truly should be making. And I know like just for an example, like for like Jaws, he makes house music, but like when he went to Icon, he wanted to make bass music, and then also like Solvent King wanted for it. This is probably crazier than that one, but Solvent King wanted to become a big room artist, big room house artist, and look at his brand now. Like nowhere close to what that is. So
that's crazy. You know, funny story though is I didn't even start singing really until I went to Icon, which is another thing that they will make you do.
Yep.
Which is like, I think the reason I didn't want to do it is because I just didn't really know I had it in me, I think. Mm-hmm. But they make you do it in a lot of assignments and stuff, so it kind of like gets past that fear of trying it.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people will realize like, hey, I actually like doing this.
You're like, oh, I'm good at this.
Yeah. So that was another thing that I can attribute to Icon. Like they gave me the courage to start singing, I guess.
Do you do like most of the vocals on a lot of your tracks, or?
Lately, yes.
Okay.
A lot of the music that has come out as of yet has kind of been like through a weird transition period. Like, for example, a lot of like the bass music stuff I put out on like on the EP that I did, the Warning Signs EP. I didn't really sing on any of those. Falling Down, I did the vocals for, but that was like the first time I did vocals on a song of mine. But after that, I started singing more and enjoying it, and like that music is starting to come out now, where it's like the music that I actually started singing on is like starting to be the music that I'm putting out, just because of how long it takes to put music out, you know.
Right. Yeah. Can you explain that a little bit? Just because like for most of our audience is like people who are trying to be in the industry, but can you explain like why does it take so long for music to come out once you make it? Like,
I'd love to explain that, because it's the most infuriating thing in the world. Yeah. I mean, you know exactly how it goes. Like it sometimes takes months and sometimes years to put a song out, which is like the most annoying thing ever. Like I remember when I first got into music, I was like, you know, you'd make a song and then you'd be like, okay, I'm going to put it on SoundCloud like today. And it was like, that was nice, because it's like you get that instant validation of like, all right, I'm putting that like instant gratification validation, you know, you put it out and it's like, it's out in the world. But,
it's instant,
you know, becoming like somebody who's releasing consistently on Spotify through labels and like trying to have a consistent release schedule and stuff, it requires a little bit more planning. And it's tough. I mean, like here, the process usually goes like this. It's like, okay, you'll make a song and that song will take, you know, however long to finish it. Sometimes a week, sometimes weeks, sometimes months. And you'll finish it, and let's say you wanted to get it out as a single, and you didn't have any like label you were tied to. You're trying to release through labels that you'd never, you know, that you're not like signed to and working with regularly. You'll pitch it out to different labels, and that'll take a lot of time, because you send out the email. Sometimes you don't even hear back for weeks, months.
Yeah.
And then when you finally hear back, it's like sometimes a no. Honestly, more times than yes, it's a no. And then you move on to the next label.
The 10-to-1 ratio.
The 10-to-1 ratio. And then you move to the next platform, and eventually you get a yes. And that process can take anywhere from a few weeks to a few months. And then let's say you get a home for the song. Yeah. And then after that, it's like, okay, they're going to give you a release date that's like, you know, 3 months to like 6 months down the road.
Right. Because they already have releases like ready to go, and you have to kind of almost wait your turn, right?
Yeah. So they'll have like a release schedule planned out for the next few months to a year, where you'll have to they'll have to fit you in, or they'll have to put you after it. So it's that part's really annoying. But I understand it. You know, you just got to be patient. But so you'll wait for that. You wait for a release date, and then through that entire time, you're kind of waiting, and then it just, you know, when that day comes, it'll finally come out. But there's like so many things you need to do in the meantime, where like you need to get like your social media plan ready for it, get like all the assets, cover art, visualizers, everything ready for the release, because, you know, it's good to be planned for that stuff.
A lot that goes into releasing on labels and stuff like that. Thank you for explaining all that.
Oh yeah. It's definitely the most, you learn patience pretty quick in that game.
How does like remixes work? So like when you did your remix for Flux, because I love that song. How does that kind of stuff go? Kind of same type of thing, or?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to go about remixes. So for example, let's say, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. So there's some ways, like for example, you have a friend, you know the artist who's putting stuff out, and like maybe you can ask them like, hey, can I do this remix? Right. So that's one way, is like, let's say it's your friend and you want to do a remix. Another way is like maybe the artist reaches out to you if they like your stuff. They'll ask you maybe like, hey, can you do a remix for this EP or something? Like that usually happens with like friend producers, you know.
Right.
Or if there's a bigger producer who's been listening to your stuff, sometimes they'll reach out and like try to see if they can get a remix from you for their collection. Sometimes what we've done though is we've just reached out to different teams of like the people putting the music out, to get like the stems, and then just do like a on spec remix where I'm like, I'll just make something and see if they like it, and then they'll put it out if they like it. And you know, I've done countless of those where it's just like not you know what I mean, like that's one of those things where it's like you're getting 8 or 9 no's to one or two yeses, you know. But there's also times where just like, I think for the Flux one, my manager was he was managing another artist who was on Circus a lot, so they reached out to him for the remixes. And then my manager Shamar, he asked just like, hey, can we get one for Hello World? And it was on spec once again, so I had to make something cool that they liked before they put it out. So
right.
that was the whole process.
Very interesting. Very good job on that track, though.
Thank you. I'm glad you liked that.
I wanted to go into you were talking about how you had a tough decision, going from deciding between the software engineering job and music, and I think there's a lot to kind of unpack there. Why do you think that was like such a hard decision for you, and what ultimately caused you to choose music?
The gist of it is like I said, I did that internship for like a big corporation, and I was software engineering for them full time, and it was really fun. But it was just kind of starting to make me think about like, okay, what do I want to do with my life? You know, like a lot of the people I was talking to there had been there for like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years even, and they're all like very content with that. And that was great and everything. Like if I wanted to have a job that I felt good in and could have stayed in for a long time, if that was what I wanted, I think it would have been really great. But it was one of those things where I was worried about getting too comfortable with that to the point where I wasn't like, it felt like the best opportunity to make the decision of like, okay, music or programming, because I'm the type of guy who like needs to go all in on whatever I choose on, you know? Like, if I pick something, I'm like, I'm going to go all in. Yeah, you know how it goes. It's like, this is my thing. This is mine, you know? So that was like the hard part, was like I couldn't just do half and half on both, because then that way I couldn't achieve what I wanted to achieve in either one, because it's like I wasn't devoting all my time to it. So I ended up, at one point too, when I was programming all the time, I was completely convincing myself that like I was never going to do music again. Like I was like, I'm going to be a programmer. I'm going to be a really cool software engineer. I'm going to move to San Francisco. Like that was my goal at that time. And then I remember I was listening to some music in the car. I forget what song it was. And I was just like, I got this feeling that like reminded me of why I love music so much. And I remember I would avoid, it was like almost like I was like trying to hide that. I was listening to music, but I would like avoid listening to like electronic music because it reminded me of this thing that I gave up. I don't know.
Yeah, you didn't really, deep down, you didn't really want to give it up.
Exactly, yeah. It's not like I look back on coding and I'm like, I wish I was doing that now. So it was like definitely like this thing that I just didn't really see I didn't really see it as very realistic. And I just never thought I had what it would take to do that. And it was tough. It was tough, man. But I think I was listening to that song and I had this big epiphany, and I started talking to my parents about it. And my parents are incredibly, incredibly supportive of everything I do, and I'm just like so blessed for that.
I feel like that makes or breaks someone's comfort. My parents are the exact same way. They just want me to be happy in whatever I decide to do.
Yeah, man, and I know you can probably attest to that too. But maybe you wouldn't have made the decision to go into what you want to do if that wasn't the case,
And luckily for me, I don't know about your parents or whatever, but for me, both my parents are entrepreneurs. Like my whole I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so it's like it's kind of just what we do. So yeah.
Oh, that's super cool. What do they do?
Yeah. My mom's a hairdresser, and my dad he works for a company now, but he used to own a business that he did custom orchard spraying. Farming.
Nice. I'm sure that you learned a lot of like entrepreneurial skills from them.
Oh yeah, my whole life.
That's hard, man. That's great though,
Yeah.
because on my end, my mom was, mostly she was a stay-at-home mom, so she did a lot of stuff to like make our lives better.
Yeah.
And amazing woman. And my dad was working like, he's one of my role models for like work ethic, because he's just like such a hard worker. He, he wasn't like an entrepreneur by any means for like himself. Like he didn't own any businesses, but he really like,
Right.
he did amazing things in his industry and stuff. So,
Cool.
so it was just like, they were really supportive of me. So I think that was like such a good backbone for me to like,
Yeah.
make the move and do it, because after listening to that song and having that epiphany of like, I mean, the question I literally asked myself was, do I like in 5 years, what progress am I going to be more happy with? Like making cool music, or having like a cool coding job where I'm like really happy with my progress with that. And I just kind of, it was pretty obvious at that point.
Yeah. What about like the security that comes with like the choice? Like with music, obviously you don't have as much security as like a software job.
Hell no, yeah.
Like,
Oh god,
how did that?
The software money would have been nice right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been nice. I'm almost glad though I didn't taste it, because I feel like if I did taste it, I would be like so scared to leave that.
Yep.
Like I didn't taste it at all, so I'm like a little bit like, the more money I'm able to bring in for music stuff, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I don't really have like an index of my standard is pretty low for money right now.
I just lost that was an $80,000 a year decision.
Yeah, exactly. It was a tough decision, and honestly, I sometimes forget the weight of that sometimes. Like it's really crazy sometimes where I'm like, I'll look back on that and I'm like, wait, I can't believe I did that.
I think a lot of people either or they just don't. I don't feel like a lot of people don't have the confidence within themselves to like just be like, I will literally sacrifice anything to make this dream happen. And that's really what it takes, especially if you have an option like you did. It's hard to leave the security of a job like that and be like, I'm just going to do it all me for me. Whatever happens, happens, and taking the risk. Like that was a big risk.
It's so hard. I honestly, like, I know there's a lot of people out there who are doing that and they don't have all the awesome, like, that support system that I had when I did it, because I feel like for me it was pretty easy. My family was so supportive of me, like financially and emotionally, just so I was able to turn that down and still feel like, okay, I can do this. Like they were there to help me, and I'm so blessed for that. But I can only imagine how difficult that would be for somebody who like didn't have that, and I'm like, I can't even imagine.
Yep. And not have the support, and especially like the monetary support system too. Like that, I feel like that's the toughest part, because it's like if I, that's all on me. If something goes wrong, like I'm the one that's gonna take the hit. But at least if worse comes to worse, you have that in your back pocket of like, I have a very loving, supporting family that can take care of me if that time happens.
Yeah, it really does make a difference, and I feel like I really owe a lot of my commitment to this whole thing to them, really.
Yeah. Do you think with making that decision, obviously you have supported family and stuff, but what about like other people in your life, like friends or like people that you went to college with, when they see that you made that decision to no longer follow that path and instead go into music, do you think like other people judge you for that decision at all?
It's a good question. It's kind of mixed, it's like I have a lot of friends who are like so supportive. Like all my like day ones are all very, very supportive of like, this choice. Like they're always sharing my music. They're hyping me up. They're telling their friends about it. I don't really know if I have any friends who aren't really supportive of it. I think they've all been like,
well, that's good.
So like, hey, go get them. Go do your thing, But I will say it is a little bit weird. Like I'm 25 now and I'm not making like that much money from music quite yet. Like I know that I can do it, but it's just like taking a lot of time. And if you compare that to like all my friends who are like they have their jobs and they're getting married, they're like a few of my friends are getting married, and at some point they're gonna start having kids, and like I'm over here making little beats on my computer. Like it's a funny contrast. It's a funny contrast, It's like.
But now that you've done what you've done, going back to like your accolades and like achievements so far, you know, playing EDC, when they see that, they're like, you know, they could be almost jealous of the fact that you did. They're just like, screw the security, I'm gonna go do what I want, and look how well I've done at it, you know. Like,
you're the best, Justin.
If I saw someone doing that in my life, and I decided to choose like the comfortable route and like the secure route, which nothing against that, but then I see someone who like, they're like, nah, fuck that, I'm gonna go do what I want, and we're actually successful like you are at it, like I'd be like, damn, I wish I would have had the confidence in myself to be able to do that, you know.
It's hyping me up, Justin. You're the best. Yeah, it's really like tough. I mean, it's not like every day I'm like, let's go get this bread, but like I'm so deep into this at this point where I'm like, I gotta do it, you know.
Yeah, this
I
is
put
just what
so
I do.
much time.
Yep.
It's just what I do now at this point. So it's like there is no question anymore of like, is this for me? It's just kind of more like, I'm so deep into it, it kind of has to be, you know.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like I wouldn't think like that if I didn't love it and want it, you know.
Right. Do you think anyone, going back to, I guess I just didn't really finish off that question. Do you think anyone like is jealous of that, or has shown you any signs of jealousy of like the progress that you've made?
I definitely have felt that from a few people.
Yeah.
You know, just from people that I used to interact with back at home here in Minnesota. I'm actually in Minnesota right now.
Yeah.
So some people I've interacted with here who are like kind of competitive. They've definitely kind of given me a little bit of the cold shoulder, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from people I've met through the music stuff, I really haven't felt a lot of like that resentment of like, you know.
I feel like,
you know,
especially in EDM, and a lot of people own the idea of like, I'm just trying to do better than I did yesterday. Like everyone, no matter what level you're on, you're in competition with yourself. And I feel like most people who are successful in the music industry have adopted that idea, and that's why you don't get so much like flack or like jealousy within the community of music.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Like the electronic music industry and a lot of the other like producers and DJs that I know, they're all like so supportive, like always showing their support for my stuff, and I love that. You know, it feels really good. But I will say, at home and like just with people that I've met like before I like was kind of meeting people through music, like other people who were trying to get into it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I felt a little bit of that from me, and it's like I don't really know how to deal with it. I'm just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, it's like it's all right. I worked hard.
it's kind of awkward. Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time. We're already at like coming up on 45 minutes here in the next few minutes.
Oh, you're good, man.
But I had a couple last questions for you. Yeah. If you were able to change anything this far along your journey, what would it be?
Ooh.
If there's anything.
Yeah. I think one thing that comes to mind would be not trying to be something else, you know, like than I already am. A lot of the time I always had this big vision for something where it wasn't really aligned with what I am, you know. So the lesson I've learned along the way is just be yourself. Don't think it, just do it, you know. So that might be in terms of like when I'm trying to come up with a song or something where I'm like, I have this vision, like, oh, I want to be more like that artist, or I want to make something this cool. Right. At that point, it's just like, it just causes frustration to me. And that not only my God, I can't talk. that not only counts with like music, but with like also the branding or like you know, my presence on social media. I feel like at the end of the day, just being myself has given me the most success of just like so that's one thing. I don't know, I feel like maybe I would have started singing a little bit earlier too.
Okay.
But I really I'm pretty happy with how early I started and how it's kind of shifting towards that.
Yeah, you're still in the first couple of years of your project doing well anyways, in the first kind of beginning phases of your career still anyway, so it's like people are gonna, once people like start to catch on, it's like you've been singing, so
right. You know, and another answer to that question though is like, I feel like I've been really good at telling myself that there isn't really anything different I could have done, you know. Like I feel like with all the imperfections along the way, it's all part of the journey that got me right here. So it's like I wouldn't change anything because I'm really happy with how far it's gotten. If that counts as an answer.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely does. Absolutely. As we wrap up here, what do you got on tap for this year? What are you most excited for coming up?
Oh, okay. So officially announced today, I have a Boombox Cartel remix coming out. Their song
Sick. Love Boombox
Shadow
so much.
with Moody Good and Calavania, I think. So that song really cool. Shadow. I worked on that remix, and it's like probably one of my favorite remixes that I put out. So really happy and thankful that he decided to put my remix out. I love it.
Yeah. When does that release?
So when this airs, I believe tomorrow, right? So today,
Yep.
technically. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So it'll come out tomorrow. So the 24th. And that one's really cool. And then on top of that, I have just a bunch more music coming out this year. I'm gonna leave it at that amount of detail because it's gonna be fun stuff.
Don't give away anything that you can't. Any shows that are coming up that you're excited about that you can give away?
I'm playing Lost in Dreams this fall, which is gonna be
congrats, dude.
the big festival in Vegas. I think it's gonna be end of September, early October.
Yep.
29th and the 1st, I believe, or something like that. But I'm playing that, and that's going to be absolutely so fun. And if anybody's going, please come say hi. And I'm playing a lot of fun
Lost in
music.
Dreams have really, they just kind of started up in the last couple of years, but they've really been showing you a lot of love. You've released a lot of
they've been the best. Seriously,
yeah.
They're such a great team, and
That's awesome.
they're just all such nice people, and they've been so supportive. Like, seriously, it's been a dream, no pun intended, working with them. It's been great.
Where can the listeners get in touch with you? Where can they find you at?
Oh, they got me at I have my at helloworld beats on everything. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, at helloworld beats. And
I'm gonna go look that up I've just hopped on TikTok recently, so I'm gonna go look up your profile on TikTok.
I don't really have much on there yet, but I gotta start posting more on there.
Awesome, man. One final question before we let you go.
Yeah.
If there's one piece of advice that you could tell yourself when you first started the project, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's a good one. There's so many things I would tell little young Drew. But I think that the most valuable thing that I've looked into learning and stuff has been the value of trying to flourish your creativity. It's not no matter how much you learn the technical skills in terms of music production, none of that gets you far unless you are able to flourish creatively, So I really value mindfulness and just things that can help you try to understand yourself creatively and when you are thriving the most creatively. So I would just tell little young Drew to pay attention to that and not overthink things either. Just stop overthinking. Why are you overthinking? Because I overthink.
Do whatever you want. Why not?
Do whatever you want. Don't think. Just do it.
That's awesome, man. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thanks, Justin. Seriously, you're the best.